Okay, itam exists a good day. It is the afternoon of Sunday, February 24th, 2019, just past the full moon of Bitak, which is the fifth of our 7 winter lunar cycles. And I'm doing a little bit of meal prep stuff this afternoon, so I thought this was a good occasion to maybe put together an update video. I've had several private messages from people asking, when are you going to update? When are you going to put out a new video? 10 days ago was Valentine's Day, and that was the last video that I put up, and that was the Wild Side of Love preparation for my talk in the Nature Center, which went very well, by the way. It was well received. Everybody was entertained. Our local city mayor turned out, and yeah, it was cool. I had a good time. So yeah, I figured, it's about time, past due time for me to put something out there about what's been going on, and so let's do it. And at the same time, I'm going to be making burritos and boiled eggs. Yeah, it's funny. People have this impression that eating well is an expensive endeavor. Like this is people's what they use as their excuse for why they go to McDonald's or whatever. Cheap food, quick. Might be quick, but it's not cheap. Like, like there's a lot of healthier, cheaper food available if you want it at your local grocery store. Like a dozen eggs. This is going to be basically 6 breakfasts for me. This is $3, or less at a grocery store. If you buy the expensive $6, $7 pack for the hen that wasn't abused, it's still like $1 a breakfast, right? So today I'm gonna make a bunch of burritos. Maybe whatever. I got a pack of 10 tortillas. I don't know if it'll spread that far across, but I think, for the stuff that it takes to make a bunch of nice burritos, what the meat's $7, tortillas are maybe $3, taco seasoning's a couple of bucks, right? So 17, throw in a $6 pack of cheese, an onion, some beans, might be 25 to $30. And that's going to give me probably at least 6 meals. So you're talking like $4, a meal for something that could be lunch and dinner. $1 breakfast for, my eggs. Like that's $10. That's getting me almost all the way through the day. What I've been doing is I've been eating a lot of just straight oven roasted chicken, because Safeway sells these rotisserie chickens, $10 a pop, and that chicken, will give me more than it's going to give me like basically 2 days of all the protein I can eat. So I've been doing a lot of that. I'll just buy a chicken every second or third day, and mostly eat chicken. Of course, I got to share with Oscar, because he's staying with me back again at the apartment here. He was at Mahoney's for a bit, but he's getting anxious there, and I know every time I go to visit him, he's looking at me like, when are you going to take me on another adventure? When he sees me put my toque on to leave the house, he starts cawing and getting upset. So Mahoney thought, he needs to come along with me, and it works out most of the time here. But there's times where I've got to keep an eye on Oscar, because little toddler kids and birds that are on the floor don't necessarily mix very well. So what's going on in the life of Rye? Well, I figure I might as well just try to tackle the relationship side of this report right away, so that that's passed, and can move on to lighter subjects. I think the last time that I posted an update about that, it was maybe 2 full weeks ago, something like that. And since that time, not a lot has changed. As far as like me being able to understand what's going on and where everything is going here, but I'm living at Chelsea still. I'm visiting the house, Mahoney's house, routinely, almost daily, I'd say, maybe even daily. While I'm there, though, we're not really communicating a lot. I'm spending time in Belle's room, doing work on my laptop, or playing with our dogs, or I've been working on a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, because I haven't done one in a while, and I don't know, something about this experience, obviously, wanting to figure things out prompted me to want to do a jigsaw puzzle. So I've been playing with that puzzle, but there have been some issues about like why am I there, what am I doing, why am I visiting. There have been a couple of occasions when I've wanted to go there and stay a night, and been told no, why, right? So I don't know where things are going there, but Mahoney and I have started doing a couples therapy. We had our first session the other day, and so we at least want to head down some kind of healing path together. What that means in terms of our marriage and all that stuff, I don't know. We'll see what eventually comes of that, but yeah, that's where that stands. It's basically the same place it was when I last touched base about it. Now, I have been getting a little bit of flack recently, both by strangers online and from people who are closer to me, that they don't like how I'm, in a sense, airing my dirty laundry, right, on YouTube, talking about the relational issues that I'm going through. And for those people, I think, like, you fail to understand what this channel is to me, what it is that I'm doing here. Like I say in the intro to this channel, and as many of you have kind of come to my defense now and then on this kind of topic. My channel's a journal, and I've been journaling since I was like 12 years old, keeping a journal. And it used to be in writing, and now it's in video, and I share it publicly. And that process of trying to articulate, verbally, what's going on with me, week to week or day to day in some cases, trying to articulate my thoughts, my philosophies, my ideas, my hopes, my ambitions, and working through, especially like in these kind of cases, working through tough times. I mean, if you're going to counseling about something like the relational issues that I've been going through, you might be, depending on your counselor, you might be advised to start a journal, right? To help you, give you some kind of a tool so that you can focus on doing the work of sitting and analyzing what's going on in your life. That's what this is for me, except, on this occasion, it is so highly sensitive that I haven't been making public a lot of what's been going on. Like, I've been keeping a lot of things private, whether you believe it or not. I've put kind of out in the public a basic, an overview of what's been going on, so that people aren't shocked, because I'm used to including my family in my videos, right? And so as things develop here. There's new relationships, there's new people in my life and such, and there's things that are going on, all kinds of, things that are affecting me, affecting my thinking, affecting day to day, what it is, what my activities are, what I'm doing. And so of course I'm going to include those in my journal. But I do do a lot of takes where it's just me going through things, and maybe I delve into the sensitive, and then I don't use that clip, right? Because that was just me doing a lot more of my thinking work that I need to do. And I'm usually, not necessarily happy with the results, because I really don't understand a lot of what's gone on, why it's gone on, and all of this stuff. That's all part of the work that I'll be doing, both with the psychotherapists and otherwise. But a part of that work for me, an essential part, is talking to this camera, because this is my writing, right? This is me sitting down in a chair and writing about what's going on and what my thoughts are. And I share that with the public because I've come to really appreciate how bouncing my life off of the public helps me grow in different ways. It is different when you're just keeping a journal to yourself, which I did for most of my life. And then when social networks began, like when Facebook began, I started keeping written journal there, and making it public and seeing, oh, this is pretty cool. I can, instead of thinking that maybe someday somebody is going to find my journal in an archive somewhere and think it's useful, instead of that, I'm able to make my journal useful right now for people. And believe it or not, I do get private messages also about the events that's going on from people who are going through the same thing and who appreciate hearing my thoughts on, the mechanisms behind this kind of an experience. So it's beneficial for people. It's beneficial for me. It's, it may be embarrassing at times for some people, and myself included in that, And I don't know what entirely to do about that, but I have done my best to kind of lay out protections so that I'm not revealing things that are really too sensitive about what's been going on. All right, let's cut up this onion and move on to lighter topics. So like I said, pretty much on a daily basis, I've been going and hanging out at the house, in one form or another, even if it's just to go pick up Mahoney or something to bring her to work, but on a lot of days I spend some time there. And part of what I've been doing there, recently is kind of like trying to reestablish an aesthetic of my presence in a way, because when I go and visit, it feels very ghostly, like I'm aware that I'm not there in a way. It's hard to explain. But anyway, the other day, I got up, got myself packed up and everything, and probably took William, the oldest boy here, to school, and then went over to the house, pick up Mahoney, drive her to work or what have you, go back to the house. I probably stopped at Safeway on the way, I think I did, and grabbed some chicken, and then I go to the house, and I was going to put in some time kind of fixing up the gym space, because when I pulled the mats that I brought to the apartment here from the gym, it left, the big gap in my mats, and I took a bunch of equipment along with me too, the essentials of what we need to keep training. And so yeah, it just didn't look right when I was there, right? It looked very like it had been ripped up, which it had. So one day I was, there trying to fix that up a little bit, and the whole time there's this sock. There's this sock that had come from here at the apartment from somewhere. Somehow it had got caught on the back of my pants on the Velcro. It's probably like I was just sitting on the couch or something, and often like Chelsea's like folding laundry on the couch. She uses that as the staging table for folding laundry. So I might have sat down on the thing there. Carried it with me to William's school, walk him in, go to Safeway, buy him a chicken, and the whole time it's dangling off of me, and then it was in the garage too. And I still didn't notice until after I left there. Then I got into the Jeep, and then I felt it. Hey, I felt something on the back, and I was like, what is this? And I pulled the sock off, and then I thought, I was horrified that I'd probably worn that, all morning, all over the place, with people seeing me. Nobody did, thought to tell me, hey man, you got a sock hanging off your ass or anything. They just let it go. So, when I sat in the Jeep, I found it. I was like, oh. So I tossed it in the back seat. And then like a day later or so, I picked up Cody, the middle child here, 4-year-old from daycare, brought her home. And when she got out of the Jeep to walk up to the apartment, there was that sock, and it was once again stuck to Velcro. It was on her shoe. So I don't know, that sock's kind of a funny animate being to me now, and I'm curious to see if it'll pop up again. Yeah, my buddy John Nightingale is presenting this afternoon at the Nature Center in about 45 minutes or so on an expedition that he made on a sailboat to Antarctica. So I'm going to have to pack up and go see that, and leave part of this food prep for when I get back and part of this video for when I get back. But just before I take off, one more short story, and that's regarding probably the most significant event, I think, of this last week, which is that Chelsea and I ended up giving the boys haircuts. And for William, who's the 6-year-old, I believe this is his first haircut ever. Like he's grown his hair and grown his hair and grown his hair, and he had long braid. And one of the kind of cool experiences living here, getting William prepped for school every day, is that I sit and untangle his hair, comb it straight again, and rebraid it for him. It's kind of a nice, it's a grooming moment, right? So, but he's been getting teased for a while, I guess, at his school. Not surprising, it is a multicultural school, and predominantly Euro-Canadian, and so to a lot of boys, his long braid look like girlish, look feminine. So he's been being teased about looking like a girl and stuff, and it's gone on long enough, and Chelsea decided, well, if he wants to cut his hair, let's cut his hair. And so the one night we did it, and she cut his braid off, and is taking care of that. And then I took the clippers, and he showed me this style that he wanted, which is kind of pretty much like a mohawk, but just on top, just kind of a tight mohawk on top. So I did my best to get him exactly the haircut he wanted, but his hair, everybody's hair is different. I imagine with a little bit of gel he could be all right, but his hair kind of lays to the side a little bit and stuff, and still looks all right. And definitely he's been happy with it. Like, even as soon as I started with the clippers on the ones, and I got like one side kind of down a little bit, his sister walked in the room, Cody, and he tells her, Cody, look at my hair. And he says, remember when I used to have long hair and look like a girl? So like already he was kind of narrating and putting that in the past tense, That wasn't who he was anymore. He's somebody different. He doesn't look like a girl anymore. So it was a very cool experience. And then, you know, afterward he got on the phone and talked to his dad about it, told his dad, talked to his grandma, talked to some of his aunties and stuff. Went to school the next day, and everybody was amazed. He had a birthday party over the weekend here that he went to. So it's new William time with his new hair, and that's pretty cool.
Look at it, such as I would have been one of those on occasion. When the waves were like this, we were forced to look out on the back of the ship as opposed to being in the bow.
Oh.
Now, under these circumstances, this was taken behind the watertight doors. These are two of the professional crew. Mandatory harnesses. We had to wear harnesses all the time too.
So I'm back. John's presentation was about 2 hours, and really good. His best kind of travel presentation yet. This was regarding his sail on the Europa and going down to Antarctica. Looking at looking at the different wildlife there and that kind of thing, learning about the place. You know, that's got to be like one of the oldest kind of forms of public presentation, is when you have, you know, somebody from your village travels out, you know, goes on an adventure and comes back and tells the story, eh? I mean, when you think about it, that's got to be like one of the really oldest forms, and it's kind of cool to see, you know, its modern face. John did a really good job. It was spot on. The first time I think I've seen him use video in any of his presentations, and it went over quite well. So I'm going to get back here to making burritos and finish up the weekly update, weekly or so. Animals. How's all my furred and feathered and scaled allies that I hang out with? What's all going on with them? Well, as I already showed you, Oscar is here with me, and will be, you know, traveling with me and hanging out with me for the next little while at least. We'll see how that goes, but I think this time around, you know, if there's some time when I can't have him with me and I can't monitor his safety and stuff, I think Mahoney'd be cool with me bringing him over and leaving him in Belle's room, you know, for an afternoon or what have you, while I go do my thing. It's just he wasn't doing well in the living room at the house, and I think, you know, Oscar likes to take care of puppies, and he was wanting to take care of baby's puppies at the house. Our one Chihuahua's 3 little puppies, but when he did that, Rolly, the dad, would get upset and was kind of threatening him there too. So Oscar's safety is just in general kind of been up in the air when he's left alone unmonitored at both locations. So hopefully by kind of teaming up on it, and we can give him a safe space in Belle's room or what have you when he can't be with me directly or I can't be monitoring him. So yeah, I got Oscar. I've got the exotic snakes, of course, my boas, my python, and I've got the tiger salamander here, who has been up from brumation and eating and having a good time with the crickets. I have a big bin of crickets that I introduce, and it's kind of cool if he's like laying hidden in the soil in there or something like that. When you put the crickets in, he just like emerges like John Rambo, all covered in mud, and goes after him. Fun to watch. And the other thing here is that I've been kind of nurturing the usual way that I do wherever I'm staying, is I start giving offerings to, you know, the birds. So the chicken carcasses that I get, you know, after I eat my roast chicken every 2-3 days or whatever, those carcasses I've got a place where I bring them, as well as any other like food waste, you know, because even if it's vegetable food waste, there's rabbits out there that appreciate it. And it's been really cold, you know, so I know all the food that I've been leaving outside has been being taken away by the animals, by one species or another. I think the deer find some of it, rabbits find some of it, magpies find some of it. And at least it's all going out there to help them. It's been so cold, like, you know, 20 and 30 below daily for almost 3 weeks, I think. Pretty much the month of February. So there's that, and then back at the house, Mahoney has our snake Severus and our and she's also still got Charlie, the rattlesnake. And Charlie has been pretty active as well, and I'm starting to think, you know, he needs to come out of his brumation, but his skin, you know, he hasn't shed his skin yet. And from my experience with Mandy last year, I know she just wouldn't eat at all until she shed that skin. And as soon as she shed it, you know, that was it. She was gonna eat real good, but she had to get that skin off. So I think we're just waiting for Charlie on that. I did the one day go test it out, so I went and bought a live mouse, and but by the time I got home, that mouse was already, you know, deceased in the container that I was bringing it home in. And I don't know if that was because of the container itself, or if it was because of the cold exposure. Probably the cold exposure, I would think. But we were inside my Jeep, so it shouldn't have been that bad for it. But anyway, it was dead, and I thought, well, I'll just throw it in there anyway. Maybe he'll smell it and he'll go after it. I left it in there overnight, and he never did. He never did take it. So Charlie still has not eaten. He's getting pretty thin. But his skin is definitely grayed out. That end of brumation shed is coming soon, and as soon as that goes, I think then we'll see him start being ready to eat. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing his envenomation, because if it's anything like Mandy's post-brumation envenomation, I think it was super potent. You know, because the first time she ate after the brumation, when she tagged that mouse, it was gone, you know, it was just laid down and died right now. So I expect that from Charlie as well, but we'll see what happens. So I was fortunate to be able to get outside a little bit more this last week and a half, 2 weeks, than I had been for the last little while anyway. And yeah, I did several hikes, both up and downstream. Went out a couple of times with Mahoney, went out once upstream with Chelsea. I'm looking for a pair of great horned owls to watch, because this is the lunar cycle now, Pitatis, on the eagle moon, when the owls should start nesting. They should start sitting their nests, and it's part of my phenological study every year to find an owl couple and make sure that they are nesting in this period, because if they're not, that means we're in a Salmitsikitsum, and it changes the way that my expectations of how the summer is going to unfold. But the owl that we had located upstream that I showed in one of my previous videos is now absent. Like we weren't able to relocate him. And then I made a trip by myself one day to the university, because there's a pair there that I've been watching for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years. And but you know, over this last year they had a major construction going on right there, and so I think it might have chased them off, because I took a good look around their nesting area and not finding them. So I don't think they're around. So yeah, I've got to find an owl couple out there somewhere to watch. And I think in this next week I'm going to be looking at maybe Cottonwood Park, because Cottonwood usually has an owl pair. You know, if I can't find any that are more on my downstream side of the river here. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've been getting out a lot more. Lots of deer activity out there. Very few coyotes. You know, I mean, this winter I've seen a couple of coyotes across the river from Spopikimi on the east side of the river. But even, you know, around Spopikimi, not even tracks. And we used to have coyote families living there. So I don't know exactly what's happened. I know at one point somebody was shooting coyotes, because I found one dead on the trail at Spokane. That John Nightingale from today's presentation, you know, he and I did a kind of a post-mortem on it, and it was shot, you know. So maybe somebody killed all the coyotes on our side of the river there. Hard to imagine though that they wouldn't, you know, spread out back onto that side of the river. But I don't even, if I'm out in the evenings, I don't even hear them doing the roll call, you know, which is weird, which just suggests that there's not any packs living right there right now. So no coyotes. Weirdest thing this past little while was last weekend. There was a group of robins down by the high level bridge in the brush there. I wasn't able to get very good footage of them or anything, but it was a significant group. It was probably at least 10 robins, which I never see, you know, in the winter. Like this time of year, I wouldn't typically find a group of robins. I might find a, you know, solitary male robin here and there, but a big group of them like that, at least not in the coulees, you know, at least not in the coulees. Maybe in some of the neighborhoods you might find a little group, but it was not even, you know, a group that size is pretty odd in the winter. So I don't know what was going on there, but I haven't seen them since. And what else? There's been this little white-breasted nuthatch hanging out in the Forest Main. That's not a unusual bird for these parts or anything like that, but it is pretty unusual to see them down at Spokane. Like up until this last year or so, I never saw any, and it's getting more common for me to see them. So I don't know if it's just one bird that I'm seeing again and again, or if it's just becoming a place that they're frequenting now. I have been able to kind of learn his call though, so I know, you know, when I hear him, and I can track him down in the forest and see what's up with him. But yeah, like I said, not a very uncommon bird. Everybody has them go into their feeders and stuff. It's just like, I've never really studied them because I mostly study the wildlife down at Spokane, and since they're not there, typically I don't know much about them. So I'm hoping that if he does stick around, or if there ends up being more there, that now I'm going to learn a little bit more about another bird species. So that's the wildlife scene. So on the economic side of things, not much has really changed since my last update. I've got my Fort Whoop-Up project where, you know, I'm making some replica old Blackfoot technology for outside of the fort in the native camp area. I went to one of the local Hutterite communities this past week to pick up some big hides, you know, some big cow hides, because the travois, the horse travois that I'm going to build, I'm aiming to do 3 of them, are lashed together, you know, with strips of rawhide. So I went to the Hutterites, got 2 big cow hides, and, you know, it was pretty interesting trying to get them back to Lethbridge in my Jeep. Well, it wasn't too hard. I threw them in the back, but I have to keep the back window open, and when you're driving around in 20 below temperatures with the back window open, it makes for a kind of an ordeal. But yeah, that was fun. And then I've got my beaver exhibition project with the Nature Center that I'm working on, and I've been doing a little bit of research, on that ends. But overall, things are really slow. The small mammal work hasn't picked back up at all yet. I've got a few traps out there, but they're not getting any activity. But I think that's going to change here pretty quick, because this winter, within less than a month, we're going to have geese laying eggs out there. It's going to be Easter time. And so, the freeze is going to change. It's going to change. It's going to change quick. And as it does, all kinds of life is going to emerge, including, my skunks and raccoons again. So I'm gearing up for that. Well, I'm ready for it. I'm just waiting for it to happen, But meanwhile, I'm strapped, right? Like economically very strapped. We're just barely making it. But we're making it all the same. By the way, those people who've donated money through the Patreon account, I finally went in and withdrew money from the past 5-6 months, and it's not a lot, but it really helped. Like it helped me survive this month for sure. So for those who've done that, I'm really grateful. I don't know what I'd done this month if I couldn't get a few $100 out of that Patreon account. And poor Chels, her vehicle's been broken down, so we've been on one vehicle. I've been driving her to stand off to her new job, which is like a 40-minute one way, so and driving the kids around and this kind of thing, and just making do, just making do. Speaking of Chelsea's kids, and I'll probably just leave it at this for the update, to conclude the update, and then I'm going to go eat one of my burritos. Staying with them here, and taking them around to school and daycare and such, and just sharing space and time. We're naturally forming bonds and such, and I have to say, over this past week or so especially, I've begun to kind of really embrace that and enjoy it. I've been watching a lot of psychology videos. I've been watching a lot of lectures by Esther Perel about the changing face of monogamy, and what's going on with people's marriages these days. Why are so many marriages failing due to these same kind of problems like I'm going through? And I've been watching a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff, and Jordan has this really good lecture series. I think it's called Masks of Meaning. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But if you go into YouTube and you just type in Jordan Peterson Pinocchio, you're going to get this 3 or 4 part series that I was watching that is pretty cool, where he takes the Disney classic, the 1940s film Pinocchio, and really breaks it down and analyzes it, and how it's how it reflects on psychology, developmental psychology, basically. And so I really enjoyed that lecture series, and it reminded me, somewhere my mom's got a tape of me, a recording of me reciting the Pinocchio script from heart. Now, I don't know if it was the whole movie. I think what it probably was we used to get these audio cassettes that sometimes would go with books, Disney books, but you could listen to the movie basically. And I think I memorized that. I memorized that, and then my parents recorded me reciting it. But for one reason or another, Pinocchio was very important to me as a really young child, 4 or 5. But I've kind of forgotten what the movie's about, And I mean, other than I know, Pinocchio is the puppet that comes to life and has no strings, and his nose grows when he lies, and he ends up in the whale and all this stuff. But I didn't remember most of the film, and after listening to Jordan's lectures, I went and rented Pinocchio from the public library here, brought it home, and watched it with Chelsea's kids. and they loved it, and I loved it. And you know, if you ever watched that show, like, you should go back and look at it again if you haven't looked at it for a while. It's a really weird movie. Like, just the way the whole plot unfolds, it's very strange, and there's a lot of heavy symbolism in there, layered in there, and it has made me interested in going back through more of the kind of Disney classics, you know, those really old Disney movies, and looking for, you know, the hidden agenda within them, more or less, or the hidden messages, because they're there. They're really well crafted movies. At least Pinocchio was just brilliant, you know. But yeah, the kids loved it, and it cued me into, like, I don't know. There was something in watching it. We watched it more than once, you know, because they really liked it. There was something in watching it with them and seeing them engage with me with it, where you realize that kids are like in this magic frame of mind almost all the time. You know, high imagination and stuff going on, and they're just waiting for, you know, adults to engage with that with them. Like, I see them testing me out, you know, doing something or saying something or looking at something, and then looking at me for my response, hey? And if I can meet them in that kind of magic space and play with them, they just love it, hey? So yeah, so I've been getting into that this week, getting into more play with Chelsea's kids, and looking forward to continue that, as well as continue watching some more of those Disney movies. Definitely beats, like, you know, I've had to learn the Baby Shark song, because it's like a mandatory thing when you're living with kids today. You have to learn the Baby Shark, Baby Shark. You know, there's this little song that all the kids know, that they love, that you have to know. I mean, it's not a lot of heavy meaning immersed in there, but those old Disney movies, man, they're pretty solid. So I'm going to be thinking to look back through them. I'm actually thinking, because after watching Pinocchio, I had some different ideas on some things than Professor Peterson. So I was thinking I might do an analysis video of my own. I might not, you know. We'll see how it goes. But probably rent some more Disney classics and be taking a look at them with the kids this week. So that's it, I think. I'm hungry, gonna eat, and this video is probably pretty long by now, so I'll let it go at there.